guys, Seth from Nat20 Minis here, and welcome to another entry in my Let's Paint series, a video series on YouTube where I paint various minis from various games. So today we're going to be painting this Chaos Lord in Terminator armor. Now this mini is for a painting competition at my local game store, so we're going to be doing a very high detail paint job on him. As you can see, he's all put together with his cape and everything, chain fists and combi bolter and all. This particular Chaos Lord is going to be from the Word Bearers Chaos Legion. So he's going to have a black cape and maroon armor with silver accents. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so here we are outside again, where there's a lot of ventilation for the air to circulate. So here is my black primer paint I will be using. It's just a general black primer for the overall model. And slight confession to you guys, I don't actually have the maroon primer paint that I will be using for the mini just yet. So first we're going to be priming it in black. And then once I get the maroon paint, then we'll spray over the model with the maroon paint so that the black paint and maroon kind of mix to give the model its dark red appearance that the Word Bearers have. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so now we have the initial black coat on the model, and with the snap of my fingers we'll fast travel in time to whenever I do have the maroon paint. So without further ado, alright, so it's about 20 minutes into the future, and instead of getting the maroon paint like I was originally planning, I decided to pick out my Army Painter Dragon Red spray primer. Now, it's a little bit bright for what I was going for with this model, but we can always just darken the model a little bit during the base coating step. So, yeah, let's get to it. Okay. After peeling off the frog tape, we see that the cape is still intact with its black coat. A little bit of seepage over here with the red, but that's okay. We can fix that during the base coating step. I was fairly light with the red paint as to kind of preserve the darker red as much as I could. But of course, some spots are a little bit brighter than I was wanting. But as I said before, we can fix that during the base coating step. So yeah, let me get my paints and show you what kind of color scheme we're gonna get. Okay, so I got most of my paints picked out. I might get another few out later as I see fit. So to start with, for his armor, I'm gonna be using Corn Red. I'm gonna dry brush this on the recesses and on the brighter spots of the model, and to give it the appropriate color scheme for the Word Bearers. Then, of course, I have another essential, Abaddon Black, for the base and other details. I'm also going to be painting his eyes black since he fell to Chaos, as well as Everland Sunset for his irises in here. And of course I have another paint that I use a lot, Ushabti Bone, for the skulls on his armor. Like you can see the one on the spike here, and the one hanging from his loincloth, or no, chaincloth. We'll just call it chaincloth for now. And also have Eshin Gray for the highlights on his cape. Now you can see some of the black paint stripped off from the frog tape. We'll fix that up here in a second. I also have this tentacle paint called Blood for the Blood God, and that's going to be used for like blood effects on the armor. Well, on the model, I should say. So like his chain fist is going to have a slight reddish accent using this over here. And also over here, for the silver accents of his armor, I'm going to be using lead belcher. And for the tip of his melt-a-gun on the combi bolter, this right here, I'm going to paint that silver initially, and then dry brush some Screaming Bell on it to give it a used effect, because melt-a-guns are basically like flamethrower shotguns, essentially. Sorry. And of course, my two essential shades, Null Oil and Agrax Shade, for obvious reasons. And since he's a word bearer, he's gonna have like inscriptions tattooed on his face. So like he's gonna have like letters per se. And for that, I'm either gonna use Gilman Flesh for that or Basilicanum Gray. We'll first see how his skin turns out afterward. Oh, and I almost forgot. For the Tyranid head on one of his spikes, I'm going to be painting the exoskeleton of it Corax white, and the carapace is going to be Nagaroth Knight, because he's going to be Tyranid of High Fleet Leviathan, which is my main Tyranid army that I'm working on right now. Also, of course, for his skin, we're going to be using Markline Flesh Shade, for just like we do with all of our minis. So yeah, got my pinks picked out. Let's get started. So as you can see, I got the base coat of my mini done. As before, it's not exactly the cleanest base coat. I can just go in there and clean it up a little bit while filling in the smaller details. You can see I went ahead and did his face already, like the smaller details there. So you can see it's kind of a grayish color, almost like a zombified look. And that's, at least in my mind, what chaos corrupted individuals look like. Also, I don't know if you can see the markings on his face in this, but as a word bearer, he does have like tattoos of like inscriptions and letters written across his face. So yeah. So yeah, there's not really a whole lot left to do on this model. Of course, I gotta dry brush some bronze on the Melta part of his combi bolter, and put some slight blood effects on his spikes and his chain fist, as well as this chain sword on his combi bolter. And of course, as previously mentioned, cleaning up the small little bits that I missed. So yeah, let's get to it. Alright, so I got some of the finer details done, and I cleaned up the model a little bit. As you can see, I finally got around to dry brushing the burnt metal part of his, melted part of his combi bolter. Also, as you can see, I had some very subtle yet noticeable blood effects on his spikes and his chain fist, as well as his chain sword that's attached to his combi bolter. And also I cleaned up the Chaos Star on his right pauldron a little bit, as well as filled in some of the gaps on his left pauldron, which is where the word bearer's iconography is going to go. So my next step, besides that, is to do some shading. It's going to be pretty easy. As you can see, I got my Nuln Oil, Agraxor shade, and Reichel Flesh shade that I mentioned before. And also, for the Tyraniid head on one of his spikes, I'm going to be using Karaberg Crimson. And also, for once that's done, I'm going to apply the terrain and apply a wash to that. And for the terrain on this base, I'm going to be using Martian Iron Earth. What this is it's basically a crackle paint. Like, the more it dries, the more like crackly effects it gets. So I'm going to be putting it on really thick on his base here. So, yeah. That's how we'll finish up this model. Oh, and also grass tufts once the terrain is dry. So yeah, once this is done, I'll show you some photos, and yeah. Hopefully this wins high marks in the competition. Well, and there you have it. So, here's my finished Chaos Lord for the painting competition. As you can see, I did quite a bit with his base. Along with the Martian Iron Earth, I added some grass tufts, as well as some razor wire to give his base a little bit more identity and scenery. So, yeah, Chaos Lord's done. And, as you can see here, I got some Chaos Space Marines to go with him. They're not done yet. They're still a work in progress. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. And for any of you guys that are in the painting competition with me, that are watching this, I wish you guys the best of luck. Peace out.